It's matchup time, and it's time for me to pick the best matchup this week. And it's also known as this week's Game of the Week! This week's Game of the Week brought to you by Illinois State Cardinals Old Hats. They're fun, they're functional, and they smell delicious. This week's Game of the Week features Team Gobo versus Team GE PackerKillers. ESPN thinks it's going to be close. I think it's going to be closer and could contain some surprises. We already know Hugo's roster. Gobo, though, is probably a little bit scared this week, knowing last week his running backs, which are going to anchor his team the whole year, are kind of slowed down a little bit. Maurice Jones-Drew hasn't got it out of his own way. Chris Johnson, other than his big 70-yard run in Week 1, would not be Chris Johnson. And then with the quarterback controversy, if Collins comes back or Vince Young still has no confidence, all they're going to do is stack the box with 8-9 people every single time, and that will shut down Chris Johnson. It's not going to give him time to get separation, get his legs moving. Actually, I see another only about a 9-10 point game from Chris Johnson, even though ESPN I think is going 26 points. It's not going to happen. We're going to jump that down about 16 points. That's 2 touchdowns and 40 yards difference. Not going to happen. Maurice Jones-Drew going against Philadelphia. Philly lets best run all over them and pass all over them. We'll see if it happens. We're going to see really how Maurice Jones-Drew's knees working out. Obviously, he's probably in something because he's not running like the MJD that we all know. I'm predicting another about 8-point game. He might find the end zone. If he does, I'm going to say 14. But I'm thinking more 8. Drew Brees against Atlanta. Atlanta has no defense. Look for him to light it up. I'm saying 26 points from Drew Brees. It's going to be Gabo's high performer this week. And then still part of his trade, LaShawn McCoy came up huge for Gobo in Week 2, 30 points, going against a weak Jacksonville defense. We'll see how that works out, and now that we know that Vic is going to be the quarterback all the time, we'll see how it works out. I'm saying about 14 points. I think McCoy, the 30 points, a little bit of an aberration, but you can definitely count on him for that 12 to 15, 10 to 15 point range. On the flip side, we have GE PackerKillers, Tony Romo. They can't find the end zone. He's getting tons of completions, but they're all short. Not really getting that long touchdown passes. He finally found the end zone and gave it to, who was it, Miles Austin? Miles Austin? My phone's ringing. Hold on. It's my house. We'll see who this is really quick. Hello? Yeah, no, I got to give you a call back. Bye. That was my father who wants to do our picks so I can kick his ass at that too. It would happen. He actually kicked my ass last week. He did really well. But anyhow, back to the thing. Tony Romo, he's going to put up points this week. I'm saying 18 to 22 against Houston. Steven Jackson, I don't know what's going on with Steven Jackson. He's still a workhorse. He's still getting tons of yards, but he's not finding the end zone. He'll find the end zone against Washington. Look for 16 points out of Steven Jackson in Week 3. Peyton Hillis out of Cleveland. I don't like any player from the Cleveland Browns. I wouldn't play him. But if you're going to have to pick one, it would be Peyton Hillis. Unfortunately, this week, he's going against Baltimore. ESPN slates him at 15. I'm slating him at 6. Count it, 6 points. That's going to be another one that I'm going to be claiming that I was right next week. Going to receivers. We have Randy Moss and Dwayne Bowe with GE PackerKillers against Roddy White, Steve Smith. Now, here's the problem with Steve Smith. Now he doesn't have Matt Moore. We're going to see how his chemistry is with Clausen. A lot of times when you bring in a new quarterback, even though that Steve Smith is the star of the team, they usually have someone that's, that they just have that chemistry with. And we'll see if it's Clausen and Steve Smith still, or if it's Clausen and another receiver out of Carolina. We'll see more in Week 3. But for now, I don't think Steve Smith finds the end zone. I'm thinking about 6 points for Steve Smith this week. Roddy White, New Orleans showed that they can get run over. The 49ers ran over them. Atlanta's offense is actually a little bit better. We'll see how they do against Roddy White. I think Roddy White's going to find the end zone. I think he's going to get a 100-yard game. I'm thinking 16 to 18 points for him this week. On the other side, GE PackerKillers, we have Randy Moss, Dwayne Bowe, like I said earlier. Dwayne Bowe going against San Francisco's defense did really good against Breeze, good pass rush. We'll see how it is. It is an Arrowhead. I don't see Dwayne Bowe going into the double digits. I'm thinking more like that 8 or 9 range. Randy Moss against Buffalo. Love Randy Moss against Buffalo. I can see him going over 20, but I'm going to be a little conservative. I'm going to say about 17 points for Randy Moss this week. Antonio Gates going against the Seattle defense. Seattle has some good linebackers, but they still have problems with the elite tight ends in the league. I still see Antonio Gates getting about 13 points. While Vincent Jackson's out, Phillip Rivers, all he sees is Gates in the end zone. So look for Gates to keep continuing to putting up big numbers. Zach Miller really hasn't got anything going in Oakland, and now that Gradkowski, thank you, from Oakland is going to probably be quarterback. It still hasn't been decided, so I don't know for sure over Jason Campbell. He doesn't look at the tight end as much as Jason Campbell, so I would expect Zach Miller's production to actually drop. I might be starting Heath Miller out of Pittsburgh against the Tampa Bay defense. PackerKillers also has the Buccaneers defense against Pittsburgh. I don't like it. I would take the Jets, throw them back in there because the Jets have a higher probability of getting a touchdown, higher probability of getting sacks, and the higher probability of getting interceptions. That's a lot more points fantasy-wise. I put in the Jets. I don't know why you would have them sitting on the bench. Gobo's got the Eagles against Jacksonville. Kind of hurts them both ways. Maurice Jones-Drew scores. Eagles drop points. Me personally, I don't like to take some of my head guys who I'm counting on getting a lot of points and put them against my defense. I might want to switch that up, maybe pick up a free agent defense like from going against a weak offense. That's just me. Gobo might not be as smart. My fantasy dud for this week in this matchup is going to be Payne Hillis against the Baltimore defense. Fantasy stud, going to be still on the GE PackerKillers side. It's going to be Randy Moss. Like I said, I said Bree's going to have 26 points, but that's expected. So Randy Moss having about 20 points is going to be my fantasy stud. My prediction for this, I think it's going to be really close. ESPN has them both at like 120 points plus, but I don't think they're still getting that. The scoring is just not coming so far this year. I still think it's going to be down. Actually, I do see Gobo pulling up the 3-0 and GE PackerKillers dropping to 0-3, but I think it's going to be close, and I think it's going to be actually both of them not hitting the triple digits. I know it's kind of weird, especially with Gobo involved, but I think it's going to be about a 98 to a 92 win. So if you guys can count, Josh, that's a 6-point difference. Gobo's side. Stay tuned. Matchup number 2. I'm in it.